Have you ever committed to a decision that you really didn't feel that sure about? When I coach senior executives, they often share their doubts with me, and they want to be more certain that they've made the right decision. This uncertainty can paralyze even the most decisive leader. And the answer isn't more analysis or more data, it's how you choose from your options. And by the end of this 5-minute seminar, you will, with help of Shakespeare, Charles Darwin and Darwin and Levinthal, know how to be more sure of your strategic decisions. I'm not a scholar of English literature, but there is one quote that I sometimes use in my coaching sessions. It's from Shakespeare's Measure for Measure, where Lucio says, "Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we might often win by fearing to attempt." This resonates strongly with leaders who have to make big, consequential strategic decisions. They're familiar with the strategic paralysis that comes from the fear of uncertainty. Leaders tell me that they hesitate not because they think their decision might be wrong, but because they can't be sure that it's right. And then they ask me for ways to reduce that doubt. And that's where Darwin, or rather Dan Levinthal's application of Darwin, comes in. Like me, Dan Levinthal, he was a professor of corporate strategy at Wharton, applies Darwinian thinking to business. He describes strategic choices as a selection process, and he identifies 3 mechanisms: selection from existing options, choice from untried options, and learning from past experience to craft new options. This is important because if you know which mechanism you're using, it lets you test whether it's working or not. And that's how you reduce doubt. So let's apply this practically. Selection is when you've tried multiple solutions already, and now you must pick the best one. Here, the helpful question to ask is, have I measured and compared them rigorously? If yes, then your decision is probably pretty good, and if you haven't, then you have cause to doubt yourself. Choice is when you're choosing among new options with no precedent. Here, the helpful question to ask is, are you evaluating the future outcomes rigorously? If you are, then you're fine. But if you're relying on gut instinct or simply getting buy-in from the team, you should be worried. Learning is when you're crafting a wholly new approach based on past experience. Here, the helpful question to ask is your learning process structured and logical? If you're consciously using deductive, inductive, or abductive reasoning, or a mix of them, you can be reasonably confident. But if you're mistaking subjective opinions for real organisational learning, then your doubts are doing their job. So here's the lesson. Doubts aren't the enemy, they're a signal. But don't let them paralyse you. Instead, ask yourself, am I selecting, or am I choosing, or am I learning? And then ask yourself, is my process for selecting, choosing, or learning deliberate and rigorous, or unconscious and sloppy? And that's how Shakespeare, Darwin and Levinthal help executives to make better decisions. And now you can too. If your strategic decisions are clouded by doubt, let's talk. As well as being an academic and an author, I help pharma and medtech strategists evolve their strategic capabilities. I do this using insight from my research into the Darwinian evolution of our industry and 4 decades of practical experience as a scientist and strategist. If our industry matters to you, then subscribe, share and explore my work. Our website has a free library of over 400 articles and papers. My YouTube channel has over 100 videos. Or best of all, let's have a cup of tea and chat about how my research can help you.